اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن جابر عبد الله الأنصاري عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي برسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعيذك بالله أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به. فآتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمة. فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء قال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوزي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمة. فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه والسلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء. فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي يا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. اللهم فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عم رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مولى عليك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء فقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء. قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب اللواء قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء. قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ برسول الله بطرفي الكساء وأومي بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وهامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن آداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. علي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم. وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال لي أبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوس لنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذن والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال النبي الثاني يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبين وفيه محموم إلا وفرج الله همه. إلهي آمين. ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه. إلهي آمين. ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. إلهي آمين. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا وفازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى
محمد وعلى محمد صلوات. فرش پر عرش کی ایک عطا ہے بے خطا جس کو تو مارتا ہے. کچھ خبر ہے تجھے ابن ملجم یہ زمانے کا مشکل کشا ہے. اس نے سجدوں پہ سجدے کیے ہیں، اس نے روزوں پہ روزے رکھے ہیں، اس نے سجدوں پہ سجدے کیے ہیں، اس نے روزوں پہ روزے رکھے ہیں. اس کا کھانا تو ہے جو کی روٹی، اس کے سونے کو ایک بوریا ہے. فرش پر عرش کی ایک عطا ہے، بے خطا جس کو تو مارتا ہے، کیوں رلاتا ہے آل نبی کو، کیا بگاڑا ہے تیرا علی نے، کیوں رلاتا ہے آل نبی کو، کیا بگاڑا ہے تیرا علی نے، اس ستمگر سے ہاشم یہ پوچھو، کیا یہ اجر رسول خدا ہے، فرش پر عرش کی ایک عطا ہے، بے خطا جس کو تو مارتا ہے، دل پہ داغ یتیمی سجائے، غم کا پیکر ہے شبیر و شبر، دل پہ داغ یتیمی سجائے، غم کا پیکر ہے شبیر و شبر، جس کو دیکھو وہی رو رہا ہے، گھر امامت کا ماتم کدا ہے، فرش پر عرش کی ایک عطا ہے، بے خطا جس کو تو مارتا ہے، پیشوا اٹھ گیا ہے جہاں کا، سونا سونا ہے محراب و منبر، پیشوا اٹھ گیا ہے جہاں کا، سونا سونا ہے محراب و منبر، کس خاموشی سے گھر بھی خدا کا آج مصروف آہو بکا ہے، فرش پر عرش کی ایک عطا ہے، بے خطا جس کو تو مارتا ہے، کچھ خبر ہے تجھے ابن ملجم، یہ زمانے کا مشکل کشا ہے، صلوات
بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات، بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات، لحد میں تذکرائے بو تراب کر لحد میں تذکرۂ بو تو رب کر دوں گا سوال کوئی بھی ہو جواب کر دوں گا فرشتوں میرے گناہ بے حساب ہیں تو کیا فرشتوں میرے گناہ بے حساب ہیں تو کیا علی کو آنے دو سارا حساب کر دوں گا فرشتوں میرے گناہ بے حساب ہیں تو کیا علی کو آنے دو سارا حساب کر دوں گا لحد میں تذکرہ پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات منتظم کعبے کا پہنچا صفائی کے لیے منتظم کعبے کا پہنچا صفائی کے لیے عیب تو اب اور گھر ڈھونڈو کلائے اژدر کو جھولے میں علی چیرتے ہیں کلائے اژدر کو جھولے میں علی آج پہلی مشق ہے خیبر کشائی کے لیے آج پہلی مشق ہے خیبر کشائی مرحب کو ہے در نے تو بولی ذوالفقار دو کیا مرحب کو ہے نے تو بولی ذوالفقار ہاتھ ایسا چاہیے تیغ آزمائی کے لیے ہاتھ ایسا چاہیے تیغ آزمائی کے لیے ابن ملجم نے لگا جبل کے سر پاتے ابن ملجم نے لگائی جبل عرش سے اترے ملائک بھی دہائی کے لیے کر دیا کیوں ابن ملجم ایسے مولا کو شہید کر دیا کیوں ابن ملجم ایسے مولا کو شہید تھا جو ایک مشکل کشا سارے خدا تھا جو ایک مشکل کشا ساری خدائی کے لیے منتظم کعبے کا فاتحہ. بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. جب دو نیم ہوا فرق مرتضی، لکھا ہے جب دو نیم ہوا فرق مرتضی، سدرا سے جبرائیل کے رونے کا غل اٹھا، پھینکی سروں سے زینب و کلثوم نے ردا، چلا کے بھائیوں کو پکاری غضب ہوا، چلا کے بھائیوں کو پکاری غضب ہوا، سنتے ہو جبرائیل نے اس وقت کیا کہا، وہ بولے پیٹ کر قتل المرتضی کہا، دوڑے یہ کہہ کے جانب مسجد وہ نیک زا، ڈوبی ہوئی لہو میں ملی کشتی نجات، ماتھے پخون باپ کا مل کر کہے یہ بات، ہے اٹھایا قبلہ کعبہ پاکے اس نے رلوایا نانا جان کو دار السلام میں، بن باپ کا کیا ہمیں ماہ سیام میں، ماہ مبارک رمضان اور خدا کا گھر، تڑکا وہ نور کا وہ شب قدر کی سحر، پیش خدا وہ سجدے میں شیر خدا کا سر، اور ہائے تیغ ظلم کی ضربت وہ فرق فوار خون کے زخم میں جبیں سے بہا کیے سجدے میں آپ رب اعلیٰ کہا کیے سر پیٹو مومنوں سر حیدر ہوا دنی ایمان کے برج کا مہ انور ہوا دنی سوچو تو فرق شاہ کا کیوں کر ہوا دنی لکھا ہے مغز تک سر اطہر ہوا دنی زہرا نے بال کھولے نبی ننگے سر ہوئے تم بے امام اور حسن بے پدر ہوئے بولے علی ہوا سبھی سے بجا نہیں زینب سے کہہ دو کوفہ ہے یہ کربلا نہیں میں بے دیار و بے کس و بے آشنا نہیں شیعہ ہیں گرد نرغے اہل جفا نہیں پردے سے ننگے سر تو ابھی کیوں نکلتی ہے کیا حلق پر حسین کے تلوار چلتی ہے کیا حلق پر حسین کے تلوار چلتی ہے پہنچا جو لاشِ شہ مرداں قریب در بے ساختہ نکل پڑی زینب رہن سر بعد اس کے یوں ہی آئی تھی اکبر کے لاش پر یہ واقعہ تھا باپ کا وہ رحلتے پسر رکھ کے ہاتھ آنکھوں پا سب خلق ہٹ گئی پھیلا کے ہاتھ لاشے زینب لپٹ گئی رکھ کے ہاتھ آنکھوں پا سب خلق ہٹ گئے پھیلا کے ہاتھ لاشے زینب لپٹ گئی لکھا ہے جب دو نے پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات صلی علی
آدھے گھنٹے کے اندر اور لوگ آئیں گے پھر جگہ نہیں ہوگی. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين إنه خير ناصر ومعين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آل بيته الأطيبين الأطهرين المعصومين المظلومين. This is a special salawat I want to recite now for Amir al-Mu'mineen that some of our ulama have written. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على أخي نبيك وأبي بنيه السيد المطهر والإمام المظفر الشجاع الغضنفر أبي شبير وشبر وقالع باب خيبر الأنزع البطين والحبل المتين الإمام الوصي والمخلص الصفي المدفون بالغري ليث بني غالب والنجم الثاقب خليفة نبيك علي بن أبي طالب. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. There was a very famous poet, scholar, but more famously known for his poetry, who lived in I think the 6th century Hijrah in Iraq. He's known by the name Haysobais. There's differences of opinion of whether he was a Shia or a Sunni, but his poetry would indicate that he was a Shia. He had a lot of poetry about the Ahlul Bayt, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the Iman of Abu Talib, and so on. But nonetheless, in books of history, multiple sources of Sunni and Shia sources narrate this account that once there was a scholar who had a dream in Iraq. There was a scholar who lived in maybe Baghdad. He had a dream. In this dream, he was in the presence of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and he asked him that, "Oh Amir al-Mu'mineen, when the city of Makkah was conquered, you made the house of Abu Sufyan to be a safe place for people. And you announced that whoever enters in the house of Abu Sufyan will be safe. And this is what his son did to your son Hussein. Look at what his son did to your son Hussein. What calamity he brought upon them in Karbala." So Imam alayhi salam, in this dream, he tells this scholar that perhaps you have not heard the poetry of Ibn al-Sayfi, that famous poet, Haysobais. He said, "No, I haven't heard that poetry." He said, "Go and hear it." And so that individual, he woke up from his dream, and that poet was a famous person in Iraq. He went to him and he recounted this dream that he had had. And that poet, he started crying. He said, "Last night only when you had that dream, I was writing these lines of poetry. I was composing this poetry to Amir al-Mu'mineen. In the tongue of Amir al-Mu'mineen, I was saying the following. ملكنا فكان العفو منا سجية. When we came to power, forgiveness was our characteristics. فلما ملكتم سال بالدم أبطح. But O Banu Umayyah, O Muawiyah, O Yazid, when you came to power, you made this land fill with blood. وحللتم قتل الأسارى وطالما غدونا عن الأسرى نعفو ونصفح. You made it permissible to kill the prisoners when time and again, when we had prisoners, we would free the prisoners. فحسبكم هذا التفاوت بيننا وكل إناء بالذي فيه ينضج. This is enough of a difference between us and you, and every vessel, what will come out of that vessel is what you put inside that vessel. This is, alhamdulillah, the individual who we have the opportunity to try to remember in these nights. Somebody whose fada'il we cannot even begin to imagine. Inshallah, we pray that out of His generosity, He accepts these gatherings from us. He blesses us. He fills our hearts with His love and faith, and He protects us, inshallah, in this world and in the hereafter. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. By the grace of Allah, we had the opportunity in the last 2 nights to talk about some of the historical anecdotes from the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam, in particular the end of his life when he was the Khalifa, the last 5 years or so of his life. We talked about his approach to money and how he was so careful in distributing wealth equally, and how he himself didn't take anything for himself. He had millions and millions of gold and silver coins coming in tax revenue from the huge Muslim empire that he ruled, but as quickly as he could, he would distribute it amongst the Muslims, and he wouldn't keep it for himself. So we talked about how that's an important lesson for us, and how money is a blessing that we have to use in service of Allah, and how it is a test as well. And one of the worst things we could do is to consume haram money. Then yesterday we talked a little bit about the relationship between Imam alayhi salam and his adopted son, we can say, Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr, and how they loved one another a lot. Muhammad was very loyal to his father, but Muhammad was unable to govern the land of Egypt, and Muawiyah attacked, and Egypt fell out of the control of the Imam alayhi salam. I tried to take some lessons. I wanted to just continue this aspect of taking some lessons and talking a little bit about how our approach to our children should be in Islam. Okay, so we talked about how the example of Imam and Muhammad was a very beautiful example. Imam was constantly there to help him, and he was also there to support his father. The Imam was guiding him. The Imam was trying to help him to do the right thing. So the lesson that I wanted to just kind of add a little bit on to the lesson we can take out of this is that, dear brothers and sisters, we have to remember that as believers, our approach to everything in life, for example, our approach to our family, to having children, is a very, very different and much more lofty, much more great outlook than a disbeliever. Whereas a disbeliever's goal would be a very materialistic goal. At the very most, they want emotional support from their child. They want maybe, the happiness of having a family. As a believer, we should also have this goal of, inshallah, having children to be believers, to increase the number of believers, to increase the obedience of Allah on this earth, the love of the Ahlul Bayt on this earth. And this is a very, very lofty goal to have. In one of the ahadith we have that Sulaiman alayhi salam, ala nabiyina wa ali wa alayhi salam, he once heard 2 sparrow birds talking to one another, a husband and wife, female and male sparrow. And one of them was saying that let us have children, and perchance the remembrance of Allah, maybe Allah will give us children who will remember Allah more, will remember Allah basically. And Sulaiman alayhi salam, when he heard that, he was really impressed. He said, هَذِهِ النِّيَّةِ خَيْرٌ مِّن مَمْلَكَتِي. This divine logic, this divine intention that bird, female and male bird, had is greater than my kingdom. See, this is the opportunity that as parents who are believers, our relationship with our kids is not just a physical, genetical relationship and that's it. It should be also a spiritual relationship where we are trying to allow our children to become believers, pious individuals, servants of Allah. And in this in this regard, just one or two points. One of the main things that would help us in this regard to allow our children to be trained correctly, to develop and nurture that spirit of obedience of Allah in their heart, is ourselves manifesting that. You see, when kids are very young, their parents are everything for them. Without even trying, they will take on the traits of their parents. They will imitate their parents. The values of their parents will become the values of the kids. Of course, there are other factors at play. Society plays a role. The media, friends, all these things are, at the end of the day, people have their own free will. Maybe that child could grow up in a good family and decide to take a wrong path in their life. But one of the very important factors are the parents. And so by parents themselves being people of taqwa, people who value servitude to Allah, people who give precedence to obedience over sin, people who give importance to gatherings of the Ahlul Bayt, inshallah we have hope that if we do that, that will have a good effect on our children, inshallah. In this regard also, I wanted to add that we have to try to reduce our expectations from people in our lives, including our kids. Okay, sometimes unfortunately we come with cultural baggage, or we come with personal expectations that are not that important in the bigger picture. What's more important is, inshallah, our children are obedient servants of Allah. Our children value taqwa, have that purity. That is what's important. Serving Allah, sacrificing for Allah. These are values that, inshallah, we hope for our kids to have. But whether our kids take on the career path that we wanted them to take on, whether they even marry somebody who fits the criteria that I wanted them to marry, sometimes this is problematic. It causes difficulty in the family relationship. It causes people to not get married young, commit sins. All of these things we need to keep it in picture, in balance, that the most important goal I have for my child, other things are secondary. In the eyes of Allah, whether they become a doctor or not, whether they marry somebody who speaks my language or not, that's secondary. It's not going to affect their success in the eyes of Allah. But what will affect the success is that ubudiyah, that bandagi, that taqwa that they have. So we have to keep that in mind, inshallah. In one of the ahadith that is apparently narrated in Sunni sources even, it says, أَدِّبُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ عَلَى ثَلَاثِ خِصَالٍ. Rear, train your children with 3 qualities. Give them 3 qualities in their life. حُبُّ نَبِيِّكُمْ وَحُبُّ أَهْلِ بَيْتِهِ وَقِرَاءَةُ الْقُرْآنِ. Teach them the love of the Prophet, the love of the Ahlul Bayt, and how to read the Quran. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. In one of the verses of Quran we have about Prophet Ismail ala nabiyyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam, it says, وَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ أَهْلَهُ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ وَكَانَ عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ مَرْضِيًّا. That Ismail was somebody who used to command his family to pray and to give the zakat, and he was somebody that your Lord was happy with. So we have, of course, as parents, we have a responsibility to guide our children, at times even with a certain, with love, but maybe at times with firmness as well, to make red lines for them. But where are we trying to guide them? Where are we trying to lead them? We want to lead them to paradise, to taqwa, to the Ahlul Bayt, to what is actually important, what is actually true, not to some, fleeting, temporary, cultural, other kind of thing that doesn't really matter as much. Okay, those were some points I wanted to make about children. Let's move on now to talk a little bit about, one last point actually I had in mind. An important point to keep in mind is that our children, inshallah, are a continuation of us. Even we as children, when we look at our parents, we should look at ourselves in that way. That we are whatever we have, we owe it to our parents. Okay, we of course, Allah is the creator, Allah gave us everything, but our parents were a means by which Allah gave us whatever we have. And so we are never allowed to be ungrateful to them, to not thank them. Even when we look at our children, we should look at it like this, that we have this opportunity that if we do our responsibility and our children become pious individuals, then in the hereafter, this will be a huge, huge asset for us. In one of the ahadith, we have that Nabi Isa, ala nabiyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam, he was once passing by a graveyard. These prophets of Allah, it's not surprising that they had the ability to see certain things that cannot be seen by the physical eyes and hear things that cannot be heard by the physical ears. As he was passing by the graveyard, he could tell that one of the people who was buried in this graveyard was being punished. And sometime later, about a year later, he passed by the same graveyard, and this time he was surprised to see that no longer was this individual being punished. So he asked Allah that, oh my Lord, I passed by this grave last year, and the inmate, the person buried there, was being punished. But this year, he is no longer being punished. What did Allah tell him? Allah said, Ya Ruh Allah, innahu adraka lahu waladun salih. O Ruh Allah, he has a righteous child, and that child has now grown up and is doing good deeds in society. He is fixing the road, he is helping the orphan, and so I forgave him because of his child. This is an opportunity we have, inshallah. It's a blessing we have to have a family, to, inshallah, keep in mind that we want to do it with the right intention and train our children with the right values in life. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There's a request to please come forward with the name of Imam Zaman Al-Qa'im. Please, if those, you can stand up and try to come forward. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Okay. Inshallah, continuing along the same path of what we were doing, where I was talking about some historical anecdotes from the end of the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam and trying to take lessons out of that, I wanted to add a few more points to do with the same kind of story and then moving on to other stories. Yesterday we talked about the story of Egypt and Muhammad, the son of Abu Bakr. So overall, if we look at the life, these last few years of the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam, or the 6 months when Imam Hassan alayhi salam was the Khalifa, we see a very, very sad story of history. This is a story, an episode of how the Imam had the position of authority, but he didn't have people who were there to support him. Time and again he was calling them that, come, let's go and fight against Muawiyah, but they were not listening to him. So the same thing was happening with regards to Egypt, that when Muhammad knew that he was going to be attacked by Muawiyah and he was being faced with a huge army under the command of Amr bin As, Imam Ali alayhi salam spent more than a month trying to gather an army, muster an army in Medina, or in Kufa, sorry. But the people were not listening to him. At one point, he appointed somebody, Malik bin Ka'ab, and he had somebody go through the city of Kufa and call out to the people that you have to join the army of Malik. You have to go and be sent out to fight. After like a long period of time, initially only 100 people came. After more than a month, the most in a huge city of Kufa that was supposed to have an army of like 40,000 people, only 2,000 came to fight for Imam Ali alayhi salam. I'll just read a little bit of how much this upset the Imam and some of the statements of the Imam to keep in mind in kind of understanding this period of time. He says in one point that Allah has afflicted me with you. أيتها الفرقة التي لا تطيع إذا أمرت ولا تجيب إذا دعوت. Allah has afflicted me with you, O community, O people who do not obey when I command, and you do not listen when I call you. And then he somehow rebukes them and speaks badly of them. He says, what are you waiting for to help your Lord, to do jihad in the way of Allah? Are you waiting for death, or are you waiting for disgrace? When Egypt was conquered and fell into the hands of Muawiyah, again he came in Kufa, he went on the mimbar and he gave a sermon and he told the community what has happened. in that sermon, at one point, he says, I thought this was really nice. He says, وَإِنِّي وَاللَّهِ ما ألوم نفسي على تقصير ولا عجز. He said, by Allah, I do not blame myself for what has happened. It was not just Egypt. In Basra, there was chaos. Muawiyah was trying to take Basra away from Imam Ali alayhi salam. There were, inshallah, today and tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit more about what was happening. There were raids that were happening. Muawiyah was sending army men into the Muslim lands that were supposed to be under Imam Ali alayhi salam, killing people. People who didn't refuse to do la'nat on Imam Ali would be killed, taking the money of the people, causing chaos. Okay? In this state, Imam Ali alayhi salam is telling people, this is not my fault. وَإِنِّي وَاللَّهِ مَا أَلُومُ نَفْسِي عَلَى تَقْصِيرٍ وَلَا عَجْزٍ وَإِنِّي بِمُقَاسَاتِ الْحَرْبِ لَجِدٌّ بَصِيرٌ. I know how to fight. I am very capable of leading and of fighting. وَإِنِّي لَأَقْدِمُ عَلَى الْأَمْرِ وَأَعْرِفُ وَجْهَ الْحَزْمِ. I have that far-sightedness. I know what to do. I have the right opinion, but what can I do? I call out loudly, and I call to you. I call asking for help. فَلَا تَسْمَعُونَ لِي قَوْلًا وَلَا تُطِيعُونَ لِي أَمْرًا. You do not listen to me, and you do not obey me. This is an important point to keep in mind. Inshallah, I'll come back to it and add something, but just some other examples of things that happened in the Khilafah of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. You see, there was a incentive for anybody who could to betray Imam Ali alayhi salam, because Muawiyah had a huge land of his own, government of his own, that day by day was becoming stronger. Imam Ali's people were disunited, and Muawiyah's people, under his batil rule, they were united. They were supporting him. So there was like a process. Today we have a process where you can become a refugee in Canada. You can come and seek refugee status. There was a process where people could flee from Imam Ali's government and go and seek refuge with Muawiyah. They would go first to a city in Sham called Raqqa. Raqqa, I think, is the same city that was the capital of Daesh a few years ago before they were defeated. And so these people would flee the land of Iraq, flee from Imam Ali alayhi salam. Many people, important people in the government of Imam Ali, they stole money and they fled. And they ran away. Just a few names. There was somebody called Munzir bin Jarud. He was one of the governors in a certain area of Iran. He took 400,000 silver coins and he wanted to run away. But Imam Ali alayhi salam's government caught him and he was imprisoned. Another person called Qa'qa' bin Shur. Again, he was a governor somewhere in Iraq between Kufa and Basra. He also ran away with lots of money. There's an account that the mahar for one of his marriages was 100,000 silver coins. That was the level of corruption and wealth that they had amassed, and these people ran away to Muawiyah. Another person named Yazid bin Hajiyya. He was the governor in Ray. Ray is Tehran today, basically, in some areas close to there. He also fled. At one point, Imam Ali alayhi salam and his companions, they were doing dua against him, cursing him. Imam said, Allahumma inna Yazid ibn Hajiyya haraba بمال المسلمين ولحق بالقوم الفاسقين فكفنا مكره وكيده وأجزه جزاء الظالمين. Imam is praying against him that, oh Allah, this person took money and fled and went to Muawiyah, basically. Oh Allah, protect us from his evil. Oh Allah, give him the recompense of the oppressors. Now, over here, there's a question that might come to our mind. And one more story I want to give. But before that, there's a question that might come to our mind, that why did the Imam appoint such people who fled? Why did Imam Hassan alayhi salam appoint somebody as the head of his army who betrayed him? 2/3 of Imam Hassan's army went to the side of Muawiyah, and Imam was forced to sign a peace treaty, which is a lengthy discussion that we can't go into right now. But overall, if somebody has this question, why were the Imams appointing such people? This goes back to a point I kind of hinted on yesterday, that the Imams lived their lives like normal people. Okay, if we had the blessing of being in the presence of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam, sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, wouldn't be surprising if he would say, "How are you doing? What's your name?" Okay, they lived their lives like normal people, even though they had access to the knowledge of the heavens and the earth. They were connected to the ilm of Allah. They had that ilm ghaib, but they were in this world, and the kind of necessary way to live in this world is to live according to the system of cause and effect of this world. So even the imams had to judge based on the apparent nature of people. And when they saw that somebody was a Shia, somebody had a history of service to Islam, seemed to be a capable manager, they would put them in a position of authority. Imam Hassan alayhi salam appointed his cousin Ubaidullah bin Abbas to be the head of his army. Ubaidullah was somebody who had had positions of authority before in the government of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was somebody who was from the family. In those years, family ties were huge. They were like what ran society. He was his cousin. It would be very, very bad for you to betray your cousin. Ubaidullah bin Abbas was somebody whose kids had been killed by Muawiyah in one of these raids that I was saying. Muawiyah, towards the end of the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was launching raids. He had his soldiers go and kill people, oppress people, cause chaos. In one of those, the kids of this Ubaidullah were killed. So what better kind of qualification could Imam Hassan find for somebody to lead his army? This guy should have a family tie to support Imam Hassan. He should have a personal vendetta to want to fight Muawiyah. But at the end of the day, everybody has a nafs. Everybody has a free will. And even that person who should have been the best person to support Imam Hassan, he betrayed Imam Hassan. And he was bought out by Muawiyah. So this is how we need to look at kind of the lives of the imams, that at times when we see such things, we shouldn't say that, oh, they were not ma'asum. That means, look, they made a mistake. They appointed somebody who was not the right person for the job. No, they were ma'asum. That's another discussion about isma, but they had to live in this dunya with a normal kind of system of cause and effect. One last story that I wanted to mention was somebody by the name of Najashi. Najashi was a poet for Imam Ali alayhi salam initially. Okay, his proper name was Qais bin Amr. He was a very capable poet. In those years, in those centuries, poetry was like the, TikTok and Instagram that we have today. Poetry was the media, was the culture. By writing poetry, you could right away pass a message that Arabs loved poetry. Arabs loved their language. A poem would become memorized by people. People would repeat it. It would have a deep cultural impact. So poets had a very important role in that society. And so one of the poets who was initially supporting Imam Ali alayhi salam was somebody called Qais, whose people knew him by the name of Najashi. He was somebody in the Battle of Siffin. He was reciting poetry against Muawiyah. He was helping the side of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But what happened was, one day in the month of Ramadan, on the first day of the month of Ramadan, he was walking when one of his friends, Abu Sammal, he approaches him and he tells him, let me open up the story and just make sure I'm getting the details correct. So,
मेंबर पे भी जगह है, यहाँ पे भी बैठ सकते हैं। अभी लोग 20 मिनट तक और आते रहेंगे। वहाँ से मुझे इशारा आ रहा है कि जरा आगे आप लोगों को कह दूं आगे आ जाएं प्लीज, अगर हो सके मुमकिन, वरना यहाँ पे भी जगह है। सलावत अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद।
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. So this friend of Najashi, on the first day of the month of Ramadan, this is sometime towards the end of Imam Ali alayhi salam's life, he approaches him and he asks him, where are you going? Najashi says, I'm going whatever place he was going to. And he says, come, I have the head and the tail of a sheep that has been in the stove, has been in the oven cooking since nighttime, and it's ready. Okay, the head even in Iran today, like the head of an animal is a delicacy. People love this food. They make like a soup out of it. Kalle pache. Pache is the feet, kalle is the head. So it was like a really, really good food, and he was tempting him. Najashi said, what? It's the month of Ramadan. He said, "Oh, we don't know, like whatever, if we don't know, we don't have anything to worry about. We can pretend like we don't know it's the first of the month of Ramadan." Something like this, he told him. And then Najashi said, "Okay, what else do you have?" He said, "I also have wine." And he started to praise the wine and the quality of the wine, that it'll make you strong, it'll help you with the digestion of the food. So Najashi went, and the two of them ate, and they became drunk, and they made a lot of noise. In their drunken state, they were making a lot of noise. One of the neighbors was a Shia. He saw this, and he told Amir al-Mu'mineen, alayhi salam. Imam Ali sent some people to arrest these two individuals. One of them, the Abu Sammal, the friend of Najashi, he fled, but Najashi was caught. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he punished him. In the Sharia, there's a punishment called hudud. For certain crimes, the Sharia has given a certain punishment that has to be carried out. So the punishment for drinking in public is 80 lashes. But Imam hit him 100 lashes. And Najashi was not happy. He said, "Whoa, okay, 80 was for the wine. What is this extra 20 lashes?" He said, "No, this is because you did hatk of the hurmat of the month of Ramadan. That in the month of Ramadan you committed this sin that is somehow putting down the sanctity and disgracing the sanctity." Anyways, there was a family member of Najashi who was also upset and spoke rudely to the Imam. And the two of them, they fled. And they went to Muawiyah. And Najashi started to then recite poetry against Imam Ali alayhi salam. One interesting part of this story is that that family member, his name was Tariq. At one point he regretted what he had done. In the court of Muawiyah, Muawiyah was insulting Imam Ali, and he stood up and defended Imam Ali alayhi salam. And he was ready to give his life to do that. Muawiyah didn't kill him, but when the Imam heard that news, the Imam told his companions that لو قتل لقتل شهيدا, that in that state when he stood up in my defense in the court of Muawiyah, had he been killed, he would have died as a shaheed. So this was kind of another point that I just wanted to share with you. Inshallah, maybe we can take some lessons out of it tomorrow. But overall, this gives us a kind of feeling of what the country was like under the rule of Imam Ali alayhi salam. That there was this chaos. Muawiyah's rule was becoming more and more solid. Because Imam didn't have people who were ready to sacrifice and support him, his government was becoming more and more unstable. People were fleeing. People were, betraying him and fleeing to Muawiyah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Before we come to the musibah for today, like I have been doing in the last 2 nights, I wanted to just quickly mention one of the shuhada of Palestine as well. There's an international organization, a non-profit organization called Reporters Without Borders. Reporters Without Borders has said that undoubtedly Israel is intentionally targeting reporters in this war. A very large number of reporters have been killed. One of them was a female sister by the name of Haneen al-Qashtan. This Haneen al-Qashtan was in her early 30s. She was working for a radio company, Sawt al-Watan. She was a journalist, a reporter. She had a lot of love for her family. She used to do dua. Her friends narrate that she used to do dua that let me die before my parents, because I don't want to see them die. I love them so much. This was her relationship with her family. In December, basically, she was martyred. The house that she was in with her family members, they all, other than one sister who survived, her other 3 siblings and her parents together, they were all martyred. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses these martyrs, raises their station, brings an end to their suffering. We should realize this undoubted reality, undoubted fact. You know, when we were growing up, somebody like me, we used to hear of the crimes of Nazi Germany. We used to hear that the Nazis starved the people in the Soviet Union. There was the siege of a city called Leningrad, where for years the people didn't have food, and they resisted against the Nazis. Undoubtedly, our children will grow up hearing these crimes. This is not something that will be forgotten. 2 million people are being starved to death right now. Muslims, children who are crying out to Allah, are dying right now. This is not something that will be easily forgotten or forgiven. Assalamu alayka ya Abul Hasan. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب. It is narrated that a man was once doing tawaf beside the Kaaba and he heard a lady talking to another lady. He went a bit closer and he heard she was taking an oath and she was swearing in the name of somebody. What was she saying? She said, by the right of he who was chosen for wasiyah, the one who ruled with equality, the one who was just in his judgment, the husband of Fatimah, the one whom Allah is happy with. This man was surprised to hear such statements. He asked this sister, this lady, that, do you know Ali, that you are talking about him like this? And she said, how can I not know Ali? She said, when I was a child, I had smallpox, and my eyesight, because of the sickness, my eyesight had gone. My father was a Shia who died fighting for Ali in Siffin. One day, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he came to my house and he addressed my mother that, "O mother of orphans, how are you?" And then she said that they were fine, but then Amir al-Mu'mineen saw my state, basically. At that time, Imam Ali was really sad to see my state, that I was an orphan child and I was blind. Imam Ali recited some lines of poetry. ما إن تأوهت في شيء رزقت به ما إن تأوهت في شيء رزقت به كما تأوهت للأطفال في الصغر. He said, there is nothing that I have been afflicted with for which I sigh. Ta'awwaha is to sigh, to moan. He said, Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying, there's nothing that makes me sigh the way that I sigh for young children. Their father who would take care of them has now died. He would take care of them in times of difficulty, in his absence and his presence. And then this is narrated as one of the miracles of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He put his blessed hand on this girl and she got her sight back again. We would say to Ali, Ali, you are so merciful with the orphans. What would happen now, O Amir al-Mu'mineen, after the 21st of Ramadan, in the year 40 AH? Who is there to take care of the orphans of the Ummah? Not just those orphans who lost their biological father. All of us, Amir al-Mu'mineen, are now orphans on this day. Marhum Majlisi narrates in Bihar al-Anwar a narration from the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya. He narrates the last moments of the Imam's life on the night of the 21st. It was 2 nights after Imam had been hit. Imam alayhi salam is at home with his children and with his family. He is now bidding them farewell one by one. They want to give him food, they want to give him water, but he doesn't want to drink, he doesn't want to eat. His mouth is engaged in remembrance of Allah. His children ask him, first he starts to bid them farewell one by one. Ya Aba Abdullah, Ya Aoun. He calls them one by one, the young children, the older children. He says, Allahu khalifati alaykum, astawdi'ukum Allahu. He says, my khalifa on you, the one who will take care of you is Allah after me. He's saying farewell. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam asks him, oh my dear father, what is this state? He says, oh my dear son, I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi in a dream 3 nights ago, and I complained to him about the state, about the ummah, about what the Muslims are doing to me. The Prophet told me in my dream, curse them, udu alayhim, do dua against them. So I did dua. I said, Allahumma abdilhum bi sharran minni wa abdilni bihim khayran minhum. Oh Allah, replace them. Oh Allah, replace me with a worse person for them and replace them with better people for me. At that time, the Prophet told me that قَدْ اسْتَجَابَ اللَّهُ دُعَاءَكَ سَيَنْقُلُكَ إِلَيْنَا بَعْدَ ثَلَاثٍ. O Ali, your dua has been answered. In 3 days you will be returned. Allah will return you to us. And now Imam is telling Imam Hassan that 3 days have passed, my time has come to an end now. He addresses Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein particularly. He says, Ya Aba Muhammad wa ya Aba Abdullah, ka'anni bikuma qad kharajat alaykuma min ba'd al-fitan min hahuna. He says, O Hassan, O Hussein, it is as if I can see that there will be fitna coming from this same city of Kufa towards you. So have patience. Have patience. Allah is the best of those who will judge. And then he turns to Hussein and he looks particularly at Hussein. He says, Ya Aba Abdullah, Anta shaheedu hadhihi al-ummah. Oh Hussein, you are the shaheed of this ummah. Alayka bitaqwa Allah. He talks to Imam Hussein and then he falls unconscious. Sometime later he wakes up and now he is seeing something else altogether. He's telling his children that here is the messenger of Allah, here is my uncle Hamza, here is my brother Ja'far, here are the Prophet's companions. All of them are telling me, Ajjil qudumaka alayna. They're telling me, Oh Ali, come quickly to us. Once more he bids farewell to his family members and then he starts to say salam to the angels that he can see. He starts to describe the Jannah that he can see. He says, لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْعَامِلُونَ. At one point he stretches his legs, he closes his eyes, he recites the Shahada, and that's it, he has passed away now. We would say to Ali, what was it when you were talking to Hussein, you went unconscious, oh Ali? What was it that made you go unconscious when you talked to Hussein? Maybe Imam Ali alayhi salam saw one of the scenes on the plains of Karbala and that made him go unconscious. What scene could it be that he may have seen? Maybe he saw that scene on the Sham Ghariban. When the narrators say, فَوَاللَّهِ لَا أَنْسَى Zainab, the narrators who are narrating this story, they say, by Allah, we will never forget Zainab. When we saw Zainab at the body of her brother, crying loudly, saying, Ya Muhammada, Salla alayka malaikatu as-sama, Hada Husaynun murammalun bid-dima. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون.
Haider Mola, Haider Mola, Haider Mola, Haider Mola, Haider Mola,
Haider Mola,
Haider Mola, Haider Mola.
मोमिनो हैदर करार का मातम कर लो, मोमिनो हैदर करार का मातम कर लो. सब बोल के मोमिनो हैदर करार का मातम कर लो, मोमिनो हैदर करार का मातम कर लो, मोमिनो हैदर करार का मातम कर लो, मोमिनो हैदर करार का मातम कर लो. हम मोहम्मद के अलम दार का मातम कर लो, हम मोहम्मद के अलम दार का मातम कर लो, मोमिनो हैदर. सब बोल के करार का मातम कर लो, मोमिनो खाकुड़ाओ करार का मातम कर लो. खाकुड़ाओ के अली शेर खुदा मारे गए, खाकुड़ाओ के अली शेर खुदा मारे गए, बाजुए अहमद मुख्तार का मातम कर लो, बाजुए अहमद مختار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو جو کہ پانچوں میں بھی ہے 12 اماموں میں بھی ہے جو کہ پانچوں میں بھی ہے 12 اماموں میں بھی ہے سارے نبیوں کے مدد گار کا ماتم کر لو سارے نبیوں کے مدد گار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر اپنے قاتل کو دیا اپنے قاتل کر لو اپنے قاتل کو دیا جس نے کہ جام شیری اپنے قاتل کو دیا جس نے کہ جام شیری کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو کوثری جام کے مختار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر بسم اللہ کرار کا ماتم کر لو کوفہ و کرب و بلا شام سے آتی ہے صدا کوفہ و کرب و بلا شام سے آتی ہے صدا اجڑے سادات کے گلزار کا ماتم کر لو اجڑے سادات کے گلزار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو او ہاں محمد کے علم دار کا ماتم کر لو ہاں محمد کے علم دار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو مومنو حیدر کرار کا ماتم کر لو
حیدر مولا یا علی 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 مولا
رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مصلی پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مصلی پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مصلی پر کیا یاد علی کو آیا ہے بازار شام مصلی پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مصلی پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مصلی پر کیا ماں کی طرح لینے تم کو مسجد میں چلی آئے زینب کیا ماں کی طرح لینے تم کو مسجد میں چلی آئے زینب بابا کو جا کے دو فضا میں مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر زخمی پہلو جب یاد آیا زخمی پیشانی بھول گیا زخمی پہلو جب یاد آیا زخمی پیشانی بھول گیا زہرا کی مصیبت پر رویا مظلوم امام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر یہ پہلی فجر ہے زینب کی سجدے میں سکون ملتا ہی نہیں یہ پہلی فجر ہے زینب کی سجدے میں سکون ملتا ہی نہیں دل ڈوبتا ہے آتا ہی نہیں ایک پل آرام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر یہ پہلی فجر ہے زینب کی سجدے میں سکون ملتا ہی نہیں یہ پہلی فجر ہے زینب کی سجدے میں سکون ملتا ہی نہیں دل ڈوبتا ہے آتا ہی نہیں ایک پل آرام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر دیوار کعبہ بیٹھ گئی الحمد لہو میں ڈوب گئی دیوار کعبہ بیٹھ گئی الحمد لہو میں ڈوب گئی امت سے ملا ہے مولا کو کیسا انعام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر اس غیرت دار کی غربت پر روتی ہے علی کی غربت بھی اس غیرت دار کی غربت پر روتی ہے علی کی غربت بھی 40 برس جو کہتا رہا شام شام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر خون جاری تھا زخمی سر سے روتے تھے نمازی صف میں کھڑے خون جاری تھا زخمی سر سے روتے تھے نمازی صف میں کھڑے یا علی مولا حیدر مولا 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 خون جاری تھا زخمی سر سے روتے تھے نمازی صف میں کھڑے خون جاری تھا زخمی سر سے روتے تھے نمازی صف میں کھڑے کس طرح حسن نے رو رو کر کی فجر تمام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مسلح پر کیا یاد علی کو آیا ہے بازار شام مسلح پر رو رو کے علی کیوں لیتے ہیں زینب کا نام مصلی پر یا حسین 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 یا حسین